All right. Well, I'm here with Ian Kirouac from Lummi Island WIld. Ian, thanks for talking and meeting with us today virtually. Love that background. I feel like I'm in Lummi Island right now. This is awesome. So to get started, Ian, I got a little bit of your background. You want to tell a little bit about yourself? It seemed like you came from marketing and sales background. And next thing you know, you're on the water. How did you get into the fishing industry?
Great question. Quite by accident, I was on a sailing trip going by Lummi Island nearly 20 years ago now, and was introduced to something called reef netting, which is what you're seeing going on in the background there. And it's the only place where it's done in the world, right in the edge of the San Juans, in particular off of Lummi Island, and a fishing method that dates back some millennia plus with the Lummi and Salish tribes, and got introduced to that fishery and just fell in love with what it was doing. The most selective and sustainable fishery on the planet, virtually no bycatch, individually handling fish one by one, and having that unique high quality seafood to bring directly to market. And that first year I discovered reef netting, I was invited to participate, and I've never looked back.
Wow. And really, it sounds like that's what reef netting is, what makes Lummi Island WIld as a co-op so special and so unique. I read it was one of the 10 greenest fisheries in the world.
That's right. Yeah, for lots of reasons, it's the greenest in the world, not the least of which is the fact that it's the only commercial solar-powered fishery in the world. Everything we do out there is powered by the sun. And that's something we made our first reef net gear solar-powered in 2007. And every year thereafter, we converted more of our fleet, and now it's 100% solar power out there. So its carbon footprint is the lowest of any out there. As well as being a well-managed fishery. The fish that we catch are bound for the Fraser River, and it's an exceptionally well-managed fishery, meaning they allow those fish to go upriver to spawn and return in greater numbers year after year within their natural cycles out there. And the other part of reef netting, why it's so sustainable, is that bycatch mortality. Our ability to sort non-target species, taking the ones that we want, individually handling them one by one, getting them directly to market fresh, but then also releasing non-targeted species to swim away. And that's the reward in that. For example, on our reef net gears, we do not harvest king salmon. They're protected, especially with the recent science around orca, the resident population of killer whales here in the Salish Sea, king salmon being their primary food source. Reef nets are exceptionally well positioned to release all those king salmon to swim away unharmed, and that just feels great. Both on sustainability and quality, reef net is at the top of the list. So that's why it's considered one of the 10 most sustainable fisheries in the world.
Wow, that's really interesting. And for those that maybe don't know, really the region that is where is Lummi Island, San Juans, is there something that makes those waters special? I think when you're talking about orcas, that's pretty Pacific Northwest there.
Absolutely. The San Juan Islands, the Salish Sea area is really unique. It is a very diverse and rich habitat for seafood. And we are on the natural migratory path as salmon come in the Strait of Juan de Fuca and come up through. And in fact, all of the Salish Sea populations of fish are thought to be slightly different. You can find a lot of the same fish we catch out on coastal waters, but because of just the rich habitat within the Salish Sea, and again, we're positioned just between Washington and Canada there in that body of water. It's a beautiful area and really rich, diverse ecosystem.
That's really what makes your guys' seafood, all your products, really special. Speaking of that, with a lot of businesses all around the country, COVID-19 has really made an impact. How has the statewide shutdown really impacted your guys' business?
Boy, it's been quite an adjustment, to say the least. We are very fortunate with a small dedicated team here that has taken all of the policies we've put in place to make sure we keep our team and our customers safe. Everybody's taken it very seriously, and we're just a tight group. Really, in our office, we have 5 people. They're the same folks that you can find out there on the water, catching the fish that we offer. And we're able to practice great social distancing and mask up. Right now, our office and our small retail location is closed to the general public, so we've done some things like that. But a big part of our business was restaurants, and we feel for those restaurants out there that we know it's been a tough journey for them. We love getting our seafood to restaurants. They generally do a great job telling our story directly to the folks eating it right on the plate. And that portion of our business evaporated, essentially. Wow. And we were very fortunate to work with folks like Savor Seattle to continue to get our seafood out to folks that both want a high quality seafood and care that it's sustainably sourced. So luckily we were on other places in the marketplace to balance that out a little bit. But interesting times, to say the least. And we've been very fortunate to continue operating very cautiously throughout this time.
Well, that's really good to hear, and it's really special to hear that we at Savor Seattle, we were affected when the restaurant shut down. That's part of our ecosystem as a tour company, and so switching to our iconic market box and selling and bringing the Pike Place Market to people's doors. It's really cool that we can help a fishery like you guys and your business. It's really special. Sounds like kind of going back to what you're talking about with reef netting. How is seasonality a big part of your guys' philosophy at the fishery?
Sure, great question. Reef netting certainly is seasonal. Our sockeye season starts at the end of July. Every other year, we move into a pink salmon fishery, and then we have a fall fishery, which generally runs through middle of October, fishing on kita and coho salmon. And that's what we're known for out there is reef netting. And we've learned through our 20 years in doing this that with the natural cycle of that fish, that we want to take our passion for quality and sustainability and work with other fisheries as well. So we've got great partnerships out there with our tribal fishers and state fishers. Some of these micro fisheries, niche fisheries, where we want to support this high quality product, which is sustainably harvested, and tell that story to the end user. So although our passion certainly comes from reef netting, we're able to take that passion for quality and sustainability and apply it to some of these other fisheries. As an example of that, our crab program, our whole cooked crab, working with Savor Seattle. And we're really excited about that program. Crab is something that's newer for us over the last few years. But we knew when we started in crab that we wanted to have an experience that was as close to catching it yourself, cooking it on the beach as possible. And just like with salmon, you have to, in order to do that, you have to start with the highest quality product. If you don't start there, there's no shortcut to get there. You can start with the best and find a way to make a mistake along the way and reduce the quality, but there's no way to increase the quality from what you start with. So what happens out there in the whole cooked crab market with other operations that are mass produced is typically cooking crab is a rescue operation where they sell crab that is not viable for the live export market, essentially going to China. So these crab are half dead, and in order to salvage something, they get cooked. We knew we didn't want to do that. So we started with a #1 premium live crab that would have otherwise been destined for the whole cooked market. And we custom processed that with the best cooker that we have right here in Washington State. And they just do an outstanding job. Part of the secret is, in fact, after it gets cooked, the way that it gets frozen fresh, it gets dunked in a series of progressively colder tanks. And eventually the final one is a super cooled saltwater solution, which actually freezes the crab whole and locks in that flavor. And then it goes individually sleeved. And we have the pleasure of delivering it directly to you at Savor Seattle. And hopefully that story making it all the way to your end users, getting your great boxes.
Yeah, stomach is rumbling now thinking about that Dungeness crab. You know, in Pike Place Market, we talk about an acronym we call Floss, which is fresh, local, organic, seasonal, and sustainable. And it really, there's so many great connections between, you know, what you're talking about and what, you know, what we think about Pike Place Market and the products and the producers that come there. That's really special. You know, as a fisherman and someone who's out there, you know, what's your favorite way to eat Dungeness crab?
Oh boy, I've got to say, I haven't met a Dungeness crab that I don't love, but my weak spot is crab cakes. You know, with our whole cooked crabs, one of my favorite things to do is for the evening meal, I'll take those crab and I'll steam, even though they're cooked, it's best to refresh them by steaming them for about 4 minutes. Can't really overdo it, you know, 4 to 8 minutes in a colander, just steaming them. I break out some newspaper, some paper bags on the counter and pick my crab meat. Generally, I sneak a little bit during that time, but in a perfect world, you end up with a nice bowl full of crab meat and make crab cakes. And what I typically do is make enough for the evening meal, but then I reserve some for the morning with the follow-up crab cake secret of crab cakes, eggs, Benny. It's just a decadent way to go back to back, because I swear I wake up still thinking about crab cakes, and it's such a joy to know I'm going back and having some more. So there it is. That's my absolute favorite thing to do with them.
That's next level. I like that. That's really good to know. Hearing that from you is great, because I think that's where one of the things I think people love about going to Pike Place Market is being able to pick up produce or buy seafood, whatever it may be, but asking the producers themselves, or asking the vendors themselves, what should I do with it? You know, so that's a great thing. We'll have to get that recipe from you and throw it in somehow. And you guys work with you mentioned earlier about working with different restaurants, and you know, I think one of our biggest connections with you guys is Pike Place Chowder. You guys supply some of their seafood to them as well, correct?
We do. That's right.
That's awesome. We really look forward to sharing your guys' story more, and thank you for your time for interviewing, talking a little bit about Lummi Island WIld. We hope that we get a chance to visit you guys one day soon.
Absolutely. Thanks for your great support, and hope you love that crab.